This is a quick trade recap video for symbol PTLA for today, December 27th. In order to kind of take a look at the levels I was watching pre-market, basically you have to go back to Friday the 23rd. These are the hourlies. So basically we saw a big push from 20 all the way up to 24 and push through, almost 26 and a half and then kind of closed right around 25. So 25 became obviously, besides being just a psychological number of 25, this is basically the level that I was watching for the pre-market. So we come up into here to the 1 minute. Pre-market, not a lot of activity, not a lot of volume at all. Quite honestly, there was none. But this was kind of the level that was shaping up. Same in this, basically 50 cents. So my first, I watched the first move. That first minute basically opened up at 25 and a quarter, dropped all the way down to almost a buck drop in the first minute. So I thought that it was already kind of out of the gates, that I missed the opportunity, was patient, waited for a pullback, and that's what happened. So it pulled back up into the same thing, this 25 level. I got in at half my normal position, primarily because I was going to, my stop was basically over here. I was risking about 50 cents, 40 to 50 cents. But I was also only half size because I expected that if there was a little bit of movement against me, I'd be willing to add to it, just because it was so overextended from Friday, and I expected to fade off. So, but it didn't go against me. That's good. So I basically won one half normal position, and in the next 2 minutes, it just dropped back down, made a new low. So that was kind of my target area. It was see if it'll make new lows, and then see if it'll target the 24. Didn't expect it to happen so quick, and it didn't hit. So I covered a little bit for my 25.09 original position. I scaled off half the 24.31, and then on a quick pullback to 47, basically as it was flirting with the half, that was my second. So quick 60 and 80 cent gains. So that was nice. Then there was a pullback, and it pulled back right up into that same 25 number, right? So these are all kind of the early shorts, some profit taking most likely, but as we approached the 25 and failed it, and that was my kind of mental signal to re-enter. So that's exactly what I did. Same thing, half position. I still wanted to see if there's anything against me, and if that were to break the kind of the morning opening, then I would be a little bit more cautious whether I would want to add. But nonetheless, half a position. This time I came in at 24.91. And then, watching it, how it kind of was dealing with low of day. There's a kind of a small consolidation right before, and then a nice break, and then it was in a range. It's small in the 1 minutes, but these are like 30-cent range bars. And then it broke and broke and broke and broke, and basically my target was 23. So I kind of target holes in halves, right? 24, 23.50. And then 23. Even had this position, I was actually on the next position, so I was targeting even lower. I just wasn't sure if it was going to come today or not. So I was lucky to kind of get the bottom of the day here, filled here at, what is that, 23.19, and then it bounced back up. So I kind of watched here as it was making these pivot rights, making a high and then a lower high, and then a higher high, lower high, a higher high, lower, lower. So basically this kind of area was what I was watching, these kind of pivots here. And then so if we look at bigger, higher low, and then all of a sudden we finally get this rounded top, which was a lower high. So now I have my my kind of initial suggestion for my third trade is I'm going to kind of on a break here of this consolidation area would be my first, and that's when I entered. With the target up here. I kind of quick, and that was looks like 23, basically 80, 81. And then I got a second position for now full position at 23.73. When I did the first position here, my stop was above this pivot high at 25. I think it was, I'm sorry, 24.30. And when I added here, now I'm in a full position. I have more shares, but I want my dollar risk to be the same. So what does that mean? Well, basically, when I put my initial position, I can have a bigger stop, but when I add to full position, I have to bring my stop, and I put my stop above this pivot. Kind of risky because, again, it could shoot through here, it could wick, but this is basically now my new stop. So it starts to go in my favor. Now we make this is where I got a little bit nervous, but I'm not in control of the trade. But basically what happened is we put in this higher low from that pivot and then started to bounce. So right, expectations are if it breaks this level here, I'm almost willing to flip it, go long, and try to ride it back all the way up. But this pivot held perfectly, so that was good. And as it rounded down, I actually on this break here, this is 2350, and it's also if it were to break here, now we're also breaking these pivot lows. So I expect great. There's momentum more towards the downside. We should have some room to at least make it to 23. And that's kind of what happened. So if we start to scroll over here, so this ad was at 45, 23.45. So now I'm in 1.5 positions of my normal size. And what I do is I start to bring down again. Now I have more size, I have to bring down. So now my stop is over here. Not only is it over this pivot, but this is basically 24. So I tend to put my stops around 5 to 10 cents above that. So I think I probably kept it here at basically 24.10 area. And then as we make this, as we kind of break new lows, then I start to trail it down, right? So the whole idea is to kind of mitigate your risk as it's going in your target. Now, my goal was 23, and or 23.05, I think is what I had my limited at. Came here to 23.10.11, missed it, and then kind of consolidated. And this is the hard part. Right? This is, for me as a trader, for me personally, is the hardest part where I could easily say close out and just take my profits, get away from my dome, go do something else, and kind of not let it be mentally taxing. But I was actually I stepped away from my computer and was watching it on my mobile, and then eventually kind of broke through. So I was somewhat happy with my trade where I was a little bit patient. I got this fill at 23. I think this one's 23.02 for a fill there to close. I think I have one more. Yeah. So it broke all the way down. So my next target is 22.50. It got as low as 22.71 on this big breakthrough 23. So I thought, great, we're looking good. It's going to continue to unwind the rest of the day. But it didn't. It did a pullback, and then as it came in here, we're getting close to the close of the bell. There's not a bunch more room. It's either going to break back up against me, it's going to consolidate, or it might drop a little bit in this 23 level. So I close this out for the final position. So overall, 3 trades. A quick, 60 to 80 cents, probably on average around 70 cents. Another good, almost a buck move, and then a full day of fade in trailing. So